So you're thinking about replacing your hot water heater, and you've probably heard this: Tankless is better. It's more efficient, you get instant hot water, and it saves you room. But here's what most homeowners don't realize: Tankless is not always better. In fact, in some homes, it can create costly surprises and more frustrations in some homes. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the real pros and cons of going with tank versus tankless, where each one performs best and how to choose the right option without costly surprises. So I'm going to start off with a traditional tank style water heater. Now this is a 50-gallon Bradford White water heater. Now with this system, it comes with a lower upfront installation cost than the tankless. And this is what you see in most homes. Now, what happens is water in this tank sits in this tank and is continually heating up. So even when you're not using hot water, this tank is consuming energy. Now, this system here has two heating elements, one here and one down here. And they are 4,500 watt heating elements. So this does use a decent amount of power to keep this water hot all of the time. And once you use up this 50 gallons of water, you run out of hot water, which is a negative. So if you've got a lot of people in the home and everyone's taking showers at the same time, you will run out of hot water with a tank system if it's not sized properly or if you don't have enough of them. Now with this tank style water heater, it's very reliable and predictable. We just have two heating elements and it's a metal tank. So it's very simple technology that we've been using for a long time. Something you need to do with these water heaters is if your water quality has a high hardness in it, calcium and magnesium, you do need to flush this water heater about every 6 months, because the sediment will end up building up in your tank and corroding the heating elements. And this will also reduce the efficiency that this water heater heats the water, because those heating elements will get all caked up with corrosion and they won't heat as effectively. Some downsides of a traditional tank water heater is you can see how much room that this takes up. So if you live in an apartment or you don't have a big garage, this takes up a decent footprint in your home. They do have what's called a shorty water heater that's made for most apartments, but even that takes a good amount of room and it does not hold that much water. So as soon as you use up the water in that tank, you run out of hot water. So with the traditional tank water heater, the issue is they are not very energy efficient. And why? Because they have two 4,500 watt heating elements that are running almost 24/7. It is attempting to keep the temperature of that water at whatever temperature you set it at. So if you set it at 130 degrees, it's trying to maintain that temperature 24/7. So even when you're not using this hot water, it's turned on heating the water up. So if you go on vacation, if you go on trips, if you don't have a timer set up, you are spending a lot of money on energy even when you're not using it. So now I'm going to go over the benefits of a tankless system. Now this is a Navion gas instant water heater. And you can see it's much smaller, this tankless technology. So it doesn't have a reservoir where it's holding water. As the water flows through this system, it instantly heats that water up to temperature. So you're only using this system when there is a demand for hot water, when you turn on your shower or you need hot water. So it is a lot more energy efficient than a traditional tank system. So with this tankless system, you can see the size difference between a 50-gallon traditional water heater and a tankless system. So they're way more compact, they can fit in smaller areas, and you get unlimited hot water. So you're not going to run out of hot water like you would with a traditional tank. And these systems will save you a decent amount of money in your electric bill because they're only turning on when you actually use them. So I'm now going to go over some of the cons of a tankless water heater. Now, the issue with this system is if you have hard water, if you have calcium and magnesium in your water, you tend to cake up all the internal components in here really fast because this tank has a lot of room and a lot of water. You are immediately sending that hard water into all the components. So you're definitely going to want a good water filtration system with a tankless system, or you're going to want to flush it constantly so that you don't corrode those internal components of this tankless system. Now, speaking of the cons of an electric tankless system, an electric tankless system uses a ton of room in your electric panel. You need a pretty decent sized system to actually heat the water to get up hot enough for a family of 2 or 3 or 4, 5 people. You need something like a 28 kW tankless system. Now, this system right here, like we just talked about, has two 4,500 watt electric heat strips. We're talking about 20 8,000 watts for an electric tankless water heater. So you need maybe 4 to 6 slots in your electric panel versus this tank water heater only needs 2 slots. Now for this gas system, we're primarily using gas to heat the water, not electric. If I was to recommend tankless, I always recommend gas. I don't normally recommend an electric tankless system. We have hybrid systems that use tank technology and tankless technology. If you don't have gas and you have electric, that work extremely well. They use the benefits of a tank system and the benefits of a tankless system and give you the efficiency, but then you have the hot water. So if you have electric, I don't recommend you go with an electric tankless system due to the fact that you need so much power, so many breakers, and it doesn't make sense for traditional residential home to go with electric tankless. Electric tankless system, you might have to get a panel upgrade because you might not have enough room in your electric panel to fit the amount of power that this is going to need to wire this up correctly. An electric tankless water heater only works in very specific scenarios. Now, if you're in a small home with maybe 1 to 2 people and a lot of people aren't taking showers at the same time or using the dishwasher or the washing machine if you have it on hot water, then in that scenario, that might work because you're not using enough fixtures all at once. If you have more than 1 person taking a shower at once and your electric tankless system is not sized large enough, then it's just not going to heat the water up and it's not going to be hot water. So I would only recommend the electric tankless system in very certain scenarios. When I'm deciding on what's the right water heater to put in my home, I'm looking at it a couple different scenarios. I have to look at how many bathrooms are in the home, how many people are in the home, how many people are using hot water at the same time. I'm thinking about how many dishwashers are in the home. Any appliance that's going to use that hot water, I have to factor that into my calculation because I need to figure out how much hot water I need to produce. We also have to think about if you have any large garden tubs in the home, because an electric tankless system will struggle with those large garden tubs. Even a 50-gallon water heater sometimes isn't enough water to fill that tub completely to get enough hot water. So that's where a gas tankless will definitely be able to keep that water hot enough to fill the entire tub. Or something like the S&C water heater, which is like a traditional tank system, but it has 120 gallons of capacity and it uses tankless technology to superheat the water. It's a really cool system. So that hybrid type system could handle a garden tub. Another option for water heaters is something called a hybrid water heater. Now, a hybrid water heater uses refrigerant technology. So it actually pulls the heat out of the air around the water heater and it absorbs the heat and transfers it into the water. So people typically put a hybrid water heater in their garage and the garage actually gets cooled down a little bit because as it's flowing that heat and transferring from the air in the garage into the water, it's now producing cold water that's blowing out through the fan. So a hybrid system does have electric heat strips in it, but it's primarily using the refrigerant in that system to grab the heat out of the air and put it into the water. So it starts with using the refrigeration to heat the water, and then it has a backup electric heat strip. So it is a more efficient, it's kind of like an air conditioning system where it absorbs heat into the refrigerant and it takes it out of your home. This one's absorbing heat and putting it into the water. So a hybrid system is really good for efficiency, but it takes up a lot of room. Typically a hybrid system is about 1.5 times wider than this or 2 times wider than this. So you need a lot of room for a hybrid water heater. The right water heater depends on how your home actually uses hot water. If you have gas to the home, how much room you have for the water heater, what's the setup right now? Those are things that you have to consider when making a decision. How much room do you have in your electric panel? So what's your budget? If you have a really low budget, this is your best bet. This is your cheapest upfront cost. But remember, you're spending money every month on your electric bill, where if you were saving money on your electric bill with a tankless or something like the S&C water heater, that money comes back into your pocket instead of paying the electric companies month per month. Now, before replacing your water heater, I highly recommend having someone like a licensed plumber look at your complete setup of your home. Check out the bathrooms, how you're using hot water, how many people are in the home, where the water heater is located, if you have gas, if you have room in your electric panel. And that professional can give you recommendations based on your home, based on your family, and based on your budget. That way, you don't spend this money to put something in that doesn't actually work, and then you just wasted your money. If you're local and want help evaluating your options, we can walk you through what makes sense for your home before you spend money on the wrong system. You can book a call by using the link in the description. See you on the next video.